Hello everybody, welcome you all at Learning is Fun with Prajnaparamita. Let's try something different today. So, today's lesson is about something new. Here there is a question for you. That is, while I dash in the library, someone threw a ball through the window. And the options are was sitting, was seated, had been sitting, and am sitting. So, what do you think? Which one is the correct one? Yes, it was sitting. So, why do we use past progressive in this situation? Now I am going to tell you in this video lesson. So, stay with me till the end to know all these things more clearly. Here, the similar situation we find we have to use past progressive instead of past perfect or simple past. Here are more examples for you. As I was walking down the road, I saw Bill, or if we say, the phone rang while I was having dinner, or Erica dropped her bag while she was getting into her car. So why we use past progressive instead of other divisions of tense? Now I am going to tell you. Actually, we use past progressive tense to a longer background action or situation, and simple past to a shorter action. Here in this example, as I was walking down the road, this is a longer action, background action, which is continuing, and at that point that action was interrupted by another action, that is I saw Bill. Similarly, if I say the phone rang, this is a shorter action which interrupts another longer action, that is I was having dinner. Or Erica dropped her bag while she was getting into her car. Similar situations are there. So when we are talking about a longer action which was continuing and a shorter action that interrupted that longer action, we have to use past progressive tense for that longer background action and simple past for that shorter action which interrupt that longer one. So this is the cause we have to use was sitting. And here we have to know more about past progressive and simple past tense. There are several type of actions. Sometimes there are temporary action and sometimes there are permanent action. So here, if we say it happened while I was living in Delhi last year, if we are talking about this sentence, what is there? This is a temporary situation when we are referred to some temporary situation, that is while I was living in Delhi last year. I was living in Delhi. This is not a permanent situation. It is a temporary situation. So while we are talking about that temporary situation, we have to use past progressive tense. But if we say I lived in London for 10 years while I was a child, I lived in London for 10 years while I was a child. This is another situation, but look at the situation. This is not a temporary situation, that is I lived and stopped there. But while I was living for 10 years. This is a permanent situation. So in that permanent situation, or in order to state about that permanent situation, we have to use simple past. So if we say I was living in London for 10 years when I was child, this is not a correct use. In that case, to denote that permanent situation, we have to use I lived in London for 10 years while I was a child. Here, this is an example of permanent action or situation. Now, let's see the use of simple past tense. Where do we use simple past tense? Now, I'm going to tell you. There are actually 4 areas where we have to use simple past instead of past continuous. Here, if we are talking about or describing a past event, we have to use simple past. If we are talking about a finished action which I have already done, I have to use or we have to use simple past. Again, we are talking about a longer situation, then we have to use simple past. The longer situation, that is a permanent situation, you can say that, we have to use simple past. And if we are talking about some repeated action of past, in that case, we have to use simple past. Let's see the examples now. Here, Peter broke a window last night. If I say that, actually, I am describing a past event which have already completed. That is Peter, the subject, and the main verb is broke, which is an irregular verb because the present form of broke is break. That is break, broke, and broken. So here, this is hence it is an irregular verb. So we have to use Peter broke a window last night, or if we say they started yesterday, that is started. The present form of the verb started is start. This is a regular verb. Start, started, and started. So when we are talking about regular verb, is must have a ed ending, but in case of irregular verb, there is it is not always the ed ending. So if we say, or if I say, he spent all his childhood in Sweden. Again, this is a permanent action or longer situation, that he spent all his childhood in Sweden. In that case, we have to use simple past instead of past continuous. Or if I say, I rang the bell 6 times, although the action which is repeated, I repeat the same action for 6 times. So when we are talking about a repeated action, then we have to use simple past tense. Now, let's see the use of past progressive. There are 2 areas where we can use past progressive, that is when something was in progress or was going on in past, that is around a particular past time, then in that case we have to use past progressive tense. Here, the example for you. What were you doing at 8 o'clock yesterday evening? That is, what were you doing at 8 o'clock yesterday evening? My reply should be like that. I was watching TV. So in that case, if you say, what did you do at 8 o'clock yesterday evening? This is not the correct use, and in that case also you do not say I watch TV, because this is not the correct one. Actually, here why we do not use past or simple past, because we are talking about of an action which was going on at a particular point of time, that is at 8 o'clock. I am talking about that. So if we are talking about something happened or something was going on at a particular point of time, we have to use past progressive tense. Now, another area is that to trace an activity was in progress at every moment during a period of time. This is another important thing. So when, if we are talking about, or if we wish to trace an activity which was going on a particular period of time, we have to use past progressive tense. So let's see the examples again. Here, I was painting all day yesterday. So I wish to stress the fact of my action, that is, I was painting all the day yesterday. So I wish to trace that action. Another example, they were quarreling the whole time they were together. So they were quarreling. I wish to trace these information when they were together. So in case of trace the situation which was going on a particular point or period of time, we have to use past progressive tense. Here, past progressive versus simple past, and repeated action versus background for the main action. There are some areas, as I have told you earlier. If we say, I rang the bell 6 times, here we have to use simple past instead of past progressive. We never say I was ringing the bell 6 times, because it is a repeated action. Or if we say, when I was a child, we made our own amusement. In that case also, this is a repeated action. So we have to use simple past tense. Not we were making our own amusement. In that case, we never use past progressive tense. But if we say, during the time I started to get chest pain, I was playing tennis a lot. Look at this example now. So what happened? There are two actions are there, and one action forms the background for the other action. So the past progressive is possible if the repeated action form a background for another past action. So look at the examples again. During the time I started to get chest pain, I was playing tennis a lot. So what do we see here? We find I was playing tennis a lot. This is an action, although it is a repeated action, but still this repeated action is a background for another action, that is, I started to get chest pain. So if that repeated action, or if some repeated action form a background for the main action, in that case we have to use past progressive tense for that repeated action which forms a background for the main action. So here, playing tennis is a background action, and it is a repeated action, but this repeated action is a background for the main action, that is, I started to get chest pain. Hope you like this video lesson. If you have any queries, please do comment in the comment section. So no more today. Thank you for listening, and bye bye.